What's up guys, my name is Angelo. We're over here at Carbon Kings Performance. Today we're going to be working on my 1984 Corvette C4. I ended up having my odometer stop reading, so what we got is a new odometer motor. In order to install this, we have to take apart the dash, so what we're going to be going over today is the process of taking apart the dash. At the same exact time, I've already upgraded my LED lights behind it. It's almost identical process to installing the motor, so at the same time of installing the motor, I'm just going to go over how to install the lights as well. It's the same exact process, so the real task today is taking apart the dash, getting to those bolts, showing you how to install the motor, and getting it all back together without messing anything up. So if you guys have any questions too, let us know, but we're going to be going over every single nut and bolt that we have to remove, as well as taking off the battery to make sure that this is going to be a safe install. Alright guys, on today's install, we're only going to need a few tools. I have a few different size Phillip heads, just in order to get into different spots. Some spots are a little bit tighter, some spots are a little bit longer in order to get those Phillips out. Also, a couple sets of pliers are going to be handy, an 8mm to take off the battery, as well as a flashlight because it does get into some dark, kind of odd locations. A flashlight's going to be your best friend in this install. Alright, so first things first guys, we are going to end up taking off the battery. That's just because we end up messing with some of the electronics inside of the dash itself. We want to make sure nothing shorts itself. So just take an 8mm, take off your battery. It's basic. Ground, one here on the power. Remove both of them, get those out of the way, make sure that they're not going to end up touching while we have everything apart in the dash. Alright, now that we have both the power and the ground at a safe location where it's not going to touch, we're going to make our way inside of the car. Alright, so right off the bat, we got to take off a couple bolts out here. I'm already missing a few. That's something I have to take care of later, but you're going to have one back here and then 3 right here. Those are the first 4 bolts we're going to take off. Any Phillips head will take them out, and make sure when you take them out that you're going to be putting them in a safe location because we are going to have to reinstall them later. Alright, so one of the next things to do after you take off those 4 bolts, in order to remove the whole entire dash panel right in front, you're going to have to take off your switch that activates your lights. Mine's already loose, so this is going to come off. It's going to take a little bit of force, but that's all it takes for anybody that already doesn't have it loose. And then take a set of pliers, and you're going to pull this clip off in order for us to be able to slide around it. It's going to take a little bit of force. It might take you a second just to pull it out. It is going to pull your lights. If your battery's off, it won't activate your lights. Just get your pliers on there. A little bit of force, it starts moving forward. You can even pull it right behind it. Just like that. That's the clip that we're going to be removing. It takes a little bit of force. Make sure you save that. We're going to have to reinstall that after. Alright, next up, you're going to have 2 bolts, one being in the far right corner and then one being in the bottom right corner. I already removed the bottom right corner. All I have to do is remove the top right corner, and that's going to expose our whole entire dash. And put this bolt also in a safe location because we're going to need to put that back in after. From here, you can push back in your light piece right here, just so it's out of the way. This becomes loose. Alright, next up, in order to get this whole entire dash panel off, you're going to pull this piece right here towards you, push your steering wheel all the way down. That gets it away from itself. End up turning this to the left. If you have to, you can put a tool right in the middle. I'll show you where that is after I remove it. Right here is a notch, just in case you have to put a tool in there, in case it's on there a little too tight. Remove this completely. We are going to have to use this later on though. From here, we're just going to end up taking this. Be very careful with it. Wiggle it a little bit, lean it back, and you're going to bring it around back here. This dash is foam. Be careful with it. You can push up on it, give yourself a little bit of slack. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to push up, get it out piece by piece. We can remove this whole entire piece, put this in a good safe spot. These are pretty expensive to replace. Alright, so next up, we have to remove the front panel on the car itself in order to expose a couple little screws back here that we're going to end up having to get to. So that's 1 bolt back here in the top right corner, bottom right corner, and then all the way down is another one, and then all the way across from that one is 1 more. That's 4 screws. We're going to remove all 4 of those to expose the rest of this. Alright, so I lied. There's actually 5 bolts, 1 being on the upper left-hand side. Once you're by the vents, if you look on the inside up here, you can almost see it. It's right where my middle finger is. There's 1 more bolt. Make sure to remove that before yanking everything forward. And now, you should be able to pull this forward. And gets this completely out of the way. This also is a good time. Check anything if you have to clean up anything. Clean your vents out. Alright, next up, you have 4 bolts holding this whole entire piece. So one of the bolts being in the top right, all the way in there. One of them the same position, just in the top left back here. And then the 2 hard ones to get are going to be down here, under either side of the steering wheel column itself. You can almost see it all the way right inside of here. So I can get my camera focused right in there. And then also on the other side of the steering wheel, same exact spot. So that's 4 screws total, and this is why we're gonna have multiple different length screwdrivers. At the same time, these are magnetic. Because of the location of those, we do not want to drop those screws. They will be very hard to get back out. So what I do is I take a magnetic tray that I have handy, and also my magnetic screwdriver, get it a little bit more amped up. I just rub it all on that. That helps the screwdriver that's magnetic stay a little bit more magnetized, so when you do pull it out, it's gonna stick to the end of this, and then you're not gonna drop your screw. All right, so we're also gonna need this tool back. You've already removed it. You're gonna end up having to take this, put it back in, screw it in, and put your steering wheel a little bit more up in order to get those bolts out of the bottom. Once those bolts are out, put it back in, push it back down, and remove it again in order to take out this display. Get that screw out, that's another one, and now we're gonna be lifting this back up and getting those 2 bottom screws out. Next 2 screws, after we remove this again, are not fun to get to, so be patient, work with a few different screwdrivers, different lengths, different sizes, and take your time getting these ones out, because these ones are the tough ones. This last one out, a little bit tough to get to. Make sure we don't drop it. We got all 4, and now it's working on getting the screen out. So we're gonna put that tool back in for the last time, put the steering wheel down, and then work on getting this whole entire dash unit out. Pull it forward, push this down, take this back out, and onto the last part in order to get that out. All right guys, so now that everything's loose, almost ready to pull out other than the wiring, we're gonna put a little bit of force up here in order to get this out. This is where we gotta be pretty careful. It is thick, so we shouldn't be damaging it, but it is tough to get out. So we're gonna work both sides of it and try to angle it forward. This might take you some time. Don't be afraid to really push up on your dash. You'll feel it snag in a certain few areas, work around that. It starts leaning forward. This is a good thing. All right, so by pulling on this dash a little bit more, you expose these wires. On this front one right there that you're seeing, you're gonna end up having normally a gray clip on the outside, and the one behind it that you can see it's kind of blurred out, that's gonna be the blue clip right back there. These are things that we're gonna have to remove in order to take out the wiring harness and then fully remove the dash itself. So this next part might require a flathead. You might have a gray clip up here as well as a blue clip behind it on the next set of the wiring harness. You just have to take a flathead, pull it out a little bit, and pull up. It's out of the way. Take that clip, make sure we don't lose it. We're gonna need to put that back on after. And from here, we can just pull our wiring harness out. Once we have both the clips off, the gray one in the front, the blue one in the back, take a little flathead, be super careful with it, position it right about here, just twist a little bit. Do the same thing on right below it, and it starts walking this wiring harness out. Slowly but surely, it starts coming just like that. Pull, that one's out. There's also a clip on top of this rear one, just pull that a little bit. We're gonna walk that clip right out of there, pull that top clip out, put that to the side. We're gonna do the same thing on that back clip, get that other part of the wiring harness out of the way, take that flathead, just do a little bit of a twist, starts pulling it out, a little bit more, get your hands in there, and it should pull right out. From here, pull the dash out, and we got exactly what we need out for the next step. I'm gonna be taking a 5.5 millimeter bit. I meant to mention that earlier. So next up, we're gonna be taking off this plate right here. There's 6 screws total, one being here, here at the top, one here at the bottom, one towards the curve, another one at the bottom, and the hidden one right here on the side. That one's gonna be going inwards. So I've already loosened up 5 of the 6. Take those out and get this last one out, which exposes the underneath, which is what we need to get to. So at this point, we have everything exposed that we would need in order to change out the odometer motor, which is right here. If you wanted to take it a step further and you actually wanted to get to the lighting is gonna be behind this. We'll go over that really quickly after this, just so everybody's on the same page. But either way, you'd have to remove this piece first if we're gonna be doing the odometer motor, just a quick pull. And now we got 1, 2, 3 bolts in order to get this whole entire plate out. And that's what we're gonna be doing right now. Got this last bolt, and now we can pull the whole entire motor of the odometer completely out. And this is what we're left with. You have the odometer. Don't try spinning it, that's not legal. And the two little bolts, one being here, one being here, that removes the whole entire motor from the housing itself. So in order to take the motor off itself, you're gonna take a 5mm, so step down from the 5.5, take this top bolt off here, this bottom one, being very careful that we're not altering anything on that. They shouldn't move even if you do touch them, but just be careful. That's something that you don't want to do. Pull that out, get that out of the way, and this is what it's going to look like when you pull it out. A little bit tough, and that's what it looks like. So this being a bad motor, and we're replacing that right now. So my new odometer part, the motor itself, from I think it's called Batee, it's BATEE.com. They have a bunch of old school Corvette parts. They're awesome. Anything from new school to old school, they have it all. This video is not sponsored by them, but I definitely recommend their products. I've bought a bunch of stuff from them so far. They've been nothing but great to me, and their products come very quickly. Redo everything we just did backwards. So we're taking the new motor, put it right into the slot where the old motor went, just like so. Might take a little wiggle. Be careful now, we're gonna flip it over, hold it all together. Take that back bolt, which is a little bit easier to get to. Get a couple rotations on there. It's tight enough. Double check this one, that's tight. We're ready to place this back into the slot where it came from. It only goes in one way. So dropping this back in. It's gonna line itself up on this little hole here and there. Get that out of the way. We're gonna go back to the 5.5mm. The rest of the screws. All right, so if you wanted to take that extra step and start changing out your lights behind it into something like LED, or just replace the bulbs in case one went bad, this is the next steps you're gonna have to do. There's bolts all along the edges, being one on over here, one up here, one down here. You're gonna shoot across to this one, back up to this one up here, and one more up here. Once those are removed, it's gonna feel loose. It's gonna feel like it's gonna come out. You're gonna have a little clip behind this piece right here. You're gonna have to pull it out. It takes a little bit of force. It feels like you're gonna break it. I promise you, you're not gonna break it. Once this is all removed, you'll have a bunch of little lights. Super easy to take in and out. They just turn by a little clip. You can even use a set of pliers if you're super careful. From there, remove your bulbs, replace your bulbs, put in new ones, and put it all back together. It literally is about another 5-minute step. It's about another 6 to 8 bolts. You're in and out, and you can go back to putting this back in just like we're about to do. We're gonna take this last wire, plug it right back in, and then we're putting everything back together. So we're gonna place this back on top. So trying to get these to line back up, we're gonna end up having to push this dash up, rotate it in, and get it to the side. All in one swift move. It's gonna take a few tries. Okay, so in order to get it into this position, if you guys are having problems, which I have had time and time again after removing this dash a few times, this left corner is gonna be your best friend. You're gonna have to put some good pressure, lift this up, and get this left corner in while pushing it into the right. That gets the wiring harness into the slot as well as this lined up. It is gonna take you a few minutes. Take your time. Don't be afraid to put a little bit of force on this. I know my dash is already cracked. That's just from being old, but this won't crack your dash. Be careful, push up on the left, push it in, get it to the side. It'll slide right in. And now we can reposition it, get it exactly where we need, just like that, and reinstall our bolts. All right, so from here on out, guys, we're just putting it all back together. So we're doing the exact opposite. First thing is getting the dash back in, getting those 4 bolts back together. You're gonna put the center console back together, because I think that was about 4 to 6 bolts. And then we're gonna put the main dash cover piece back on. Again, this is gonna be coming up and down a few times like we did the last time. Make sure everything lines up. That last piece is gonna be for the light switch. We're back together, get you back on the road with either a brighter dash setup now with new LEDs or your odometer back working. All right, so in order to install your light switch back all together, you're gonna have to put this back on it. This is literally the last piece in installing your dash. So we open up this, get a needle nose, put it in there a little bit. Find this video informational at all. If you have any questions, let us know, but please give this video a thumbs up, comment, likes, and subscribes really help us out. If you guys have any requests for any installation videos at all, it could be for a C4 Corvette or any other cars at all. If you guys head over to our Twitter page, we do 24-hour deals on wheels, tires, suspension, you name it. It could be for an older Corvette like this, a newer car, we do it all. So please like, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, let us know. I hope this video helped you guys out.